Hey everyone, Charlie Morgan here and welcome to another video. So for those of you who are new to the channel and do not know who I am, well, my name's Charlie and I've built and scaled an agency. It's called Northflow Consulting, and now I help other people build and scale their own agencies. Now, I'm not here to sell you anything. Today I'm going to show you how I plan my day. If you don't know what you're doing at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, then you're probably losing in business. And that's a bit of a bold statement, but my point there is that if you don't meticulously plan out what you're going to do tomorrow, then tomorrow will come around, as it always does, unless you unfortunately die, which would not be a good thing. But tomorrow is almost always going to roll around, right? And when it does, you're going to have to face it, and you'll be put into work, and you'll have to sort of go through the day. And if you don't have a plan, then it won't go the way you want it to go. People see their days as these miracle things where they can just make millions and millions of dollars. But if you haven't got a specific plan for your day, actually acting out an action towards a goal is very difficult to do. And so what I'm going to do today is walk you through how I plan my day and sort of just give you the SOP basically that I follow. And it just helps me get much more productive, and it allows me to make a lot more progress in my business, because it means that, like, when I get back from my lunch break to sit down at my desk, I look at a piece of paper and I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And often procrastination is a manifestation of ambiguity. And what I mean by that is, if you're not working and doing the work that you should be doing, it's probably because you haven't got a clear-cut plan or strategy to tell you exactly what you need to do. And so by having a plan and by actually mapping out, like, in half an hour increments exactly what you should be doing throughout the day, you're far more likely to actually do it. Because otherwise you wake up and then you sit at your desk and you're like, okay, I want to make 20 grand a month. And then you just sort of sit there and stare at your screen, and then you just default to the thing that's easiest, which is scrolling through Facebook or probably watching YouTube videos. Not to call you out, but if you've got a goal and you want to hit that goal and you're in the middle of your day just aimlessly scrolling through YouTube videos and clicking through recommendations, you will not achieve your goal, okay? And so today I want to give you a bit of a plan and a bit of a strategy to actively plan your day. So I've got a daily planner, and it looks something like this. Now this video is probably flipped, so I'm actually going to walk you into my screen in a second and give you the resource that you can download. But the way this works is I basically map out my entire existence and my entire day in half an hour increments. And then what I do is, this is an actual map of a day where I've sort of gone through and filled out like exactly what I need to do, everything from like calls to meals to everything. And then at the end of the day, I put a sticky note and I put how much time I've spent working. Like I log my focus and I log my output. And that allows me to keep a track of my days. And if you're wondering what this looks like, after years and years and years of doing this, you end up with this, right? This is my business. If I wanted to look back and directly put cause to effect to the actions that have led to me creating, well, a scaled and seven-figure agency and now a scaled and seven-figure coaching business, I look back through here. And so I've been doing this religiously. And once you do this religiously, and this is only like half the pile because the other pile is in a different office, this is how many like days you can just log. And so, you know, when I figured out that planning my day was probably a good thing, I went and I bought a load of paper, I bought a printer, I bought a load of ink, and I printed out the same daily planner and just made it, like, just religiously use it. So let's say I wanted to figure out, you know, what did I do on the 23rd of March in 2021? That's exactly what I did. I worked for 8 hours and 8 hours and 3/4 of an hour, so 8.75 hours. I logged my focus at 40% and my output at 60%, and I completed an outreach workflow. I created an Asana workflow for an engaged prospect list. I did a coaching call and I did 4 discovery calls. And in terms of how I could have improved that day, well, I think I ended up eating some bad food and it looks like I was also on my phone. And on lunchtime, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole. So I made a note of these things. So this is really, really helpful, right? Because if you ever go off track and you're ever like, why am I not getting what I want? Well, you only have to look at your actions. And until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And this is how we make the unconscious conscious. This is my unconscious behavior, a direct log of it in paper form that I can access at any time. And so that's a very useful resource to have. And after, months or years of doing this, you'll have the ability to go back and look at what you've done and associate cause to effect, which is, not a bad thing to do, that's for sure. It's been very useful for me. So what I'm going to do now is hop into this. I know this is going to be flipped, so you won't be able to see it properly, but I'm going to hop into this on my computer and show you the daily workflow planner. Our clients use this, I've been using this, and it just helps you bring order to chaos. If you have a goal, you have to understand that a goal is an effect. It's a snapshot of a future you want to acquire. All effects have causes. And so all we have to do is define the causes and do them for a long enough period of time with enough prudence over a long enough period of days for the effect to actually manifest itself. And if you don't have these causes written down in linear format and show you exactly what you need to do throughout the day, you're not going to do them, which means that the effect is sacrifice. Okay, so I'm going to hop into my computer. Let's go. All right, people. So I want to start this with a piece of information. Each day presents an opportunity for you to manifest your potential. Let that sink in for a second. Every single day that rolls around, every single hour in every single day, every single minute within every single day, presents to you the option to make the right decision to grow and become a better person. Understanding that alone, and understanding that each day is like a gift from the universe where you can actually literally physically change the universe and mold it to your own sense of reality and to what you want to achieve. Understanding that is the first thing to actually becoming productive. Because just planning your day, if you don't see days as these sacred pieces of opportunity, you won't take them for granted. When I wake up in the morning, I'm like, right, I've got a choice today. I can either win or I can lose. Right? And obviously, I take days off and I don't count them as losses. But my point here is that if I've got something to be done, and if I want to create a new future for myself that's better than where I am right now, or help other people do that, which I am at the moment, then I'm obligated to seize the opportunity. You see people saying grace and saying prayers and stuff for food. That's awesome. Now, I'm not religious, but if I was, I can totally understand the gratitude for food. But what about the day? What about the 24 hours that you have laid out in front of you to make whatever the fuck you want happen? It's an opportunity, right? So not to get too philosophical on you, but I'm going to break down a really simple concept. So you have the past, you have the present, and you have the future. These are the three modes of time, okay, that we understand as humans. Now, if you live in the past, then you are depressed. Not all the time, but my point here is that the more time you spend thinking about the past, the more depressed you are likely to become, because you're either going to ponder on mistakes or be upset because what you used to have you no longer have. If you live in the future all the time and you constantly think about what's going to happen next, then you're anxious, because thinking about the future, we are enveloped in anxiety and worry when we just consider all the variables and potential chaos that could be coming our way, or the black swan events that might be happening. Now, this is just a generalization, but my point here is that if you live in the present, then generally speaking, you're fine. Now, you might be depressed in the present, or you might be anxious in the present, but my point here is the reason you're probably anxious or depressed in the present is because you're spending so long thinking about the past or thinking about the future. Whereas when you just think about the present, which is today, the next 24 hours in front of you, it's very hard to get scared, especially if you can meticulously plan it. It gives you this sense of control. Now, this is really important to understand, because if you think about this on a different model, this is how time works. I haven't articulated this before, so give me a second. So you've got your past, you've got your present, and you've got your future. Now, the future is, as we've mentioned, an effect, right? And the present is an opportunity to put cause to effect. But the past is a collection of all the causes we've ever done in our entire existence. And so what we'll find is that our past predicts our future. The stuff that we have done throughout our lives, the amalgamation of all activity, has manifested itself into the situation you currently sit in. Every single decision, every single thing that's ever happened to you, ever, has led up to this very moment. And everything that you've ever done has led to you coming and watching this video right now. So the future you are currently living is a manifestation of everything you have ever done. And these are all the causes that we've accumulated over the past. Now, the only way to create a cause is to do something in the present. And so in the present, you can control what you do. And so by controlling what you do and by doing something good, you kind of it's almost as if in the past, you've got like a bank, right, of positive and negative causes. Negative causes are actions that direct you away from your goal, and these are bad. Positive causes are things that direct you towards your goal, and these are good. And the thing that will lead you to doing positive things is basically facing pain. So to do a good cause, I'm defining good as something that contributes to the effect you want, which is the goal you've got. To take that action and to do that cause requires you to go through some sort of pain. This is the first thing to understand. And so in the present, we live out our day, and we either contribute towards our goal or we don't contribute towards our goal. Or we contribute a little bit to our goal, but then we also don't contribute too much to our goal. So it's sort of like net position zero. You want each day to sort of just slightly, you want your upside to be slightly bigger than your downside, because we all have downsides. None of your days will be perfect, right? It's impossible to be this monk all the time. I have ruts. We all have ruts. People go through periods of doubt and anxiety and inactivity and procrastination. And I think it was Will Durant that said, in any developing individual, there must be periods of transgression, because it's human nature for that to happen. So I think I butchered that quote, but you sort of get the point. So don't be afraid if your day, if you have an amazing morning and your afternoon's not so great, because your net position of that activity will still be increased. So this is all a bit of a theoretical point, but my point is that where you are now is a manifestation of where you have been. Every cause and every effect you've ever put into motion in the past is where you are now in the present. And you have the option today in the present to actually influence the past and create this bank of effectors, or this bank of effective causes that create the effect you want. You see what I'm saying? And so, we see the past predicts the future, but the present predicts the past, which means the present predicts the future by predicting the past. That's how time works. And that's how you get what you want. Is you do what needs to be done today for a long enough period of time that it accumulates in your past, and then it brings forth the second order consequences in the future that you want. That blew my mind. When I figured that out, I was like, holy shit, this all makes sense. To get what I want, all I have to do is put myself through some pain today. Okay, I can do that, right? So my point here is we focus on the present to get the effect we want. Now, how do we focus on the present? Allow me to introduce you to the Imperium Daily Workflow Planner. This thing is, I attribute an awful lot of my success to this thing, because without this, I'd be in some trouble. So this is basically a daily planner, and it kind of does what it says on the tin, right? So the SOP for this: at the end of each day, we plan tomorrow today, right? So at the end of each day, you sit down at your desk. When you finish work and everything's done and you've closed everything up, you sit down at your desk and you think, okay, what's my goal for 10 years from now? It's to build okay, let's just bring it down to a year because it's easier. I want to get to 50k a month in a year. Okay, how do I do that? Okay, well, I have to get clients. Well, how do I get clients? Well, I have to do outreach. So for most people, your plan should just be outreach, right? But my point here is at the end of each day, you sit down, you think about your goal, and then you think about what you need to do to make that happen, and what effects, what causes you need to put into motion tomorrow to build that bank of effects that then causes that creates the effect in the future. So I sit down, and you can sort of you make your own one of these, but whatever time you wake up, whatever time you want to go to sleep, you can sort of just copy and paste it. But what I do is I put the date for tomorrow, so the 16th of December, and then at 7 o'clock is usually when I wake up, so I just put wake. 7:30 is usually if I'm at the gym, so I just put the gym. But my work day doesn't really start until 10 a.m. Between now and then, I'm sort of just chilling out or working out or meditating. Sometimes I'll just get up and just go straight to work, depending on the day. And And so you plan it out. Then what you do is you have down here your productivity inventory, which is just a very fancy word for to-do lists. I prefer it. It sounds cooler. And with to-do lists, we have this negative unconscious association with, oh, I've got a to-do list, I've got stuff to do. Whereas productivity inventory, oh, that's a chef's kiss of synonyms, right? So you put down 3 things. Now, if you've got more than 3 things to do tomorrow, you are neurotic and crazy, right? So I want you to just sort of try and boil down, use reductionism to boil down your core tasks to just a couple of things you have to do. Because I can tell you now, I've experimented with this. When I put more than 3 things on my to-do list or productivity inventory, I don't do anything, right? If anything, you just want to have 1 thing or 2 things, right? So if you're trying to grow your agency, it should just be outreach and sales calls. You're trying to hire a media buyer, it should be outreach and media buying. Outreach should almost always be on here. If you're not at the point yet where you've got too many clients for you to actually handle too many clients, then outreach should be number 1 every single day, right? So we come in here, we log productivity inventory, right? 1, 2, and 3. So it could be, okay, I'll give you an example for me right now. So I'm planning out some new modules for our program. So I need to build a Trello skeleton of all of those. That would be on there for tomorrow. Tomorrow I've also got to onboard our sales rep through a call, so that would be on there tomorrow. And then I'd also probably put something else in there, little secret I'm working on, right? Maybe a YouTube video or anything. Then what I do is I basically go through half an hour by half an hour and I plan out how I'm going to do these tasks and exactly what I'm going to do. And so you think through each productivity inventory thing step by step, so that when the day rolls around tomorrow, you have clear, discernible things that you have to do to actually make it happen. And so, 10 a.m. I would write in, okay, what am I doing between 10 and 10:30? If I've got a discovery call, I'd put, okay, discovery call, and I'd put a line through 10:30 because they go over for an hour. What am I doing at 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30? And then I'd have an hour for lunch at 1 o'clock, right? I don't work on my lunch because it's actually counterproductive to do that. And then at 2 o'clock, this is where most people go wrong, is most people can get their mornings right, but then they get back from their lunch break and they've just hit the brain with so much dopamine or random shit that getting back into work is excruciating. So or they've eaten such a massive lunch with loads of carbs and fats and oils that their digestive system, all of their calories and their digestive system has gone. No, all of their energy has gone to their stomach to digest, and so they've got nothing left in the brain, right? So they just have to lie around for an hour until they can focus again. So don't do that. But what am I going to do at 2 p.m? What am I going to do at 2:30, 3, 3:30? This is what I mean. If you don't know what you're doing tomorrow at 4:30 down to the actual task, you're not going to get what you want. And so it's really important you do. You map it all out. Then I'll have a meal at 6 o'clock. So I'd map that out. And then, maybe at 8 p.m. is when I finish work. And then I plan tomorrow today at 20:30. And I'm finished by 9. Or you can sort of structure this according to you don't have to get up at 7 and finish at 9, whatever. But that's what I do. So once I've done that, I then go ahead and I log the day. So I do this tomorrow. So I will sit down at about 8 p.m. tonight and I will use this, right? And I'll basically grab it. I think I'll put it away since recording that video, but I'll grab that sheet and I'll put it on my desk. I have printed it off. I'll grab it and I'll write down what needs to be done tomorrow. And I'll put my productivity inventory, I'll put the date, and I'll log out half an hour by half an hour by half an hour. And then what I'll do is I'll take today, because I've got one of these for today, right? And I'll go through and I'll think, how could I improve? This is the first thing I ask myself. I force myself to think of 3 things. What 3 stupid things have I done today that have held me back from actually achieving my goal and manifesting a future that I want? Okay, I stupidly, I took an extra hour for lunch to watch part of a Joe Rogan podcast. Or maybe I snapped at an employee. I never do that, but maybe you did, right? Maybe you did something that didn't contribute to your goal. I slept in for an extra 45 minutes today. I shouldn't have. Just write these things down, and then what you can do over the course of a couple of months is go back through these, and you can see what behaviors keep recurring over and over again, and that allows you to actually bring them to your attention so you can actually address them. Because the first step to overcoming a bad habit is to recognize it exists. And we're very bad at recognizing what bad habits we have because they're so ingrained in our existence that we can't separate ourselves from them and we can't step back. And so this is how you do that. So then we also have to log calls booked and calls conducted. Calls, by calls I mean discovery calls or sales calls, they are an oxygen life force for an agency. Calls are to an agency what an oxygen tank is to a diver. right? If you don't have sales calls, you are going to die. You're going to starve, and you're not going to live for much longer. So I put in here the metrics. How many calls did I book today, and how many calls did I conduct? So now that I've got sales reps, I put in how many calls did I book for my sales reps, and how many calls did my sales reps conduct today? And I'll know those metrics. So it could be like, well, today I booked 6 calls, and my reps conducted 7 calls. That's fine, right? I know that I can look back through, and I know because this is the main thing that grows my business. And so I want a metric for it every day. I want to consciously think about this metric every single day because it's the main thing. It's the most important thing. Then I also log distractions. So what I would do here is, this is a bit more meticulous, and I tried it for a while, but it did work for me, but I didn't do it in the end because it just got too exhausting. Every time you get distracted from your work, you tally. Right? So I did this for like a month until basically I got so pissed off with tallying that I just stopped getting distracted. So it's a great strategy. But every time this trains you, have this tracker on your desk, and every time you get distracted from your work by a notification or by anything at all that breaks your focus from what you're doing on this or takes you away from this planner, you tally. So I've got tallies that will go around the whole page onto the other side of the page where I've got distracted like 25 times in one day. And then eventually, if you keep tallying this, eventually you'll notice a pattern where it just slowly decreases. Because the way we stop getting distracted is by becoming aware we're getting distracted and intervening with the distraction. And so this is another way. It's another thing that brings forth this conscious attention that allows you to overcome the problem of, getting distracted. And so the other thing I'll log is how many hours I've worked. So you might have noticed on the tracker I had, I've got this little post-it note. So I've got this big bulk. I can find it here. So, sorry guys, bear with me. This is the production quality you get. So I've got post-it notes here, right? And then they usually sit on my desk, but they were in my drawer because I was cleaning today. And so I have post-it notes that sit on my desk. And at the end of each day, like when I go to take a break or when I go for lunch, I just basically log in when I started that work block and when I finished the work block and how many hours I've worked in that block. And I'll have 2 or 3 work blocks throughout the day. And then I tally at the end of the day and I write how many hours I've worked. So I'm not fooling myself, right? And then, this, by the way, these are my planners. As you can see, I've got quite a few of them basically just lined up and ready to go, right? And I just print 300 of these every year, because that's how many days of the year I work if I discount some weekends. And then I know they're there, and then I have to use them because I printed them, and it'll piss me off if I didn't. Then I also log my focus and my output. So focus is basically you can just look at your distractions tab, and every time you get distracted, you minus 1% off of your entire day, or maybe 2%. I do 2%, it's probably better. So if you've been distracted, I don't know, say you got distracted 20 times, then your focus would be 60% for the day. Maybe you could do 2.5%. The stricter you are with this, the easier it is to actually overcome it. So, if you really wanted to get mega focused, you'd count each distraction as 5% away from your 100%. So each day with focus, you start at 100%, and every distraction that you have knocks off a certain percent. And so what you'll find is that if you get distracted often enough, your focus will actually be in the minuses. Your focus could be minus 500%, right? And that's how you know you've got a problem. And then output, well, I basically log this based on, out of the 3 things that I wanted to get done, did I get them done? Each of them counts towards the total sum number of the amount divided by how many there are. So if I've got 2 things in here, this thing counts as 50%, this thing counts as 50%. If I get them both done, my output is 100%. If I get only one done, my output is 50%. If I get one done and half of the other thing done, my output is 75%. If I've got 3 things here, they each contribute to 33%. If I get all of them done, then I'm at 100%, right? Minus the 1. If I get one thing done, I'm at 33%. And so, you can just keep a log of your focus and your output, your hours worked. And then I put my rating up here. So your rating is basically focus plus output divided by 2. And that's your average daily performance. And this rating will dictate how quickly you get to your goal. Because if you can have 80% focus, 80% output, then your rating is 80%, and you're 80% more likely to get what you want than someone whose focus is minus 500% and 10% on output. You see how that works, right? So that is how I use my daily planner. Really, there's not much else to it. And I'd strongly advise that you make a copy of this thing. I will basically link a Google Drive to this in the video description, and you can go in and you can print it off and you can use it, and it will just help you, right? It's helped me tremendously. It's helped my clients. My business partner uses this now, and it just allows you to make the unconscious conscious, and it actually allows you to have a clear, discernible plan as to what you're going to do. Because then when you know what you have to do, if you don't do it, then you need to do it. There's no other solution than that. And so that's everything. So at the end of each day, we write down how we could improve on yesterday's plan, the one that we wrote yesterday for today. We write down how many calls we put, how many we conducted, how many times we got distracted. This is a daily thing. You go through this throughout the day. Oh shit, I just got dragged away by a notification. Damn it, let me put a tally in here, right? Then at the end of the day, we log how many hours we've worked using a post-it, focus and output. We total these divided by 2 for the rating. And then, you can just sort of tick off, we've got these little check boxes here for each thing that you've done. And then you've done your day. And you tick it off and you're like, okay, cool. That's that day. I'll file it away. And then you open up a new, fresh, clean sheet like I got here. I write in the date. I put in what I'm going to do, my productivity inventory, and I do it tomorrow. And it gets done. Because I'll tell you what, if something's on here, boy, oh boy, am I getting it done. The only thing that would stop me is an alien invasion or a family crisis, right? If I'm at the point now, and you will be if you do this for long enough, where you want to treat these sheets as the most sacred thing that you have. Because for as long as you have the habit, if I write something down on one of these sheets, it will be done. I'm not waking up and thinking, oh, I've got to do that. Like, I'm just like, right, it's on the sheet. It's on the sacred holy sheet of, the Imperium Daily Planner. It must be done. And that's how I treat this thing, because then that's how you treat your days, and that's how you treat your goal. Because like I said, a goal is a culmination, an amalgamation of everything you've done. And if everything you've done is done to the best of your ability, then the goal you get will come. Right? So that's how we use this thing. Thanks for watching. Now, a couple of things for you. If you did a video, just press subscribe and also like the video. Because when you like the video, it trains YouTube's algorithm to give you other videos like this that help you. Also, if you have any other things you want me to break down in terms of how I plan stuff out, just drop a comment, and that might contribute towards some of your success as well. So just comment if you want me to record any other videos similar to this. In the description, there will be 2 links. Now, I'm recording this right now, and we're actually fully booked for discovery calls. So right now, you cannot book a call to talk to us. But if you're watching this in a couple months or a couple weeks, then you will be able to. But the first description will take you through to a funnel that will explain what we do and how we help agencies. The second link will take you through to a Facebook group that you can join to get more content like this, so you can just grow your agency and have more fun. Whether or not you buy from us doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure that I provide you with the tools required to actually achieve your success and your goals. That means a lot more to me than making money. And I hope that this video contributes to doing that in some way, shape or form. So that's everything from me. Thanks for watching, and subscribe. Well, I think I meant to say subscribe, but I said and subscribe, and it sounded like I said unsubscribe. So don't unsubscribe. But if you're not subscribed, then do subscribe. So that's everything. Talk soon, guys.